Mouth Media proudly presents Talking Trash with Mike and Nikki. What's up, fellow gobbies? This is Nick.
And this is Mike.
And this is a new episode of Talking Trash with Mike and Nick. We are here to talk to you a little bit about C2E2 and all of the goings-on of the event for this half year, because for some reason, I mean, we know the reason, but
Yeah.
but now they're like every 6 months. So some new content cosplay-wise gonna have to be on pause for a minute until schedules get back to normal.
We had one, in February 1st? No, December?
December, yeah.
December, and then August. No, June? August?
July.
That's the one.
The one in between.
There's so many. And then they're doing... So that was because COVID happened. They threw 2 C2E2s kind of back to back. And now there's this third one that's happening that's trying to get them back on track. And that's going to be in March, right?
Right, and then hopefully we will just stick to March after that.
I guess.
Although I loved December.
I was going to say I prefer December, but whatever. Anyway.
December was the great... I mean, because by March, you're already starting to get into, like, con and fair season, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
You know, July was absolutely wretched. You have everything going on in July. I mean, it's not just, like, cons, but it's, like, 4th of July and holidays and vacations and, you know, school's out and everything. Like, July is the worst month. Plus, it's hot.
Yep, no bueno.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're talking about C2E2 today.
So, yeah, we went into it like, you know, full steam, and we didn't have any new cosplays this time, did we?
No, I freaking damn near forbade it because all the crap that we have going on. Wait a minute, just really quick. C2E2 is the Chicago... What does it stand for? Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, right?
Yes.
C2E2. So yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, it's all cosplay and nerd stuff, comics, movies, video games, the whole schmear, and they do a big ol' production of it over at McCormick Place downtown in Chicago. And it's like it's our home con and the one that we try to hit every single time it comes around, even these 3 back-to-back times.
Although, you know, the back and forth in past years, and which will be next year again, is that sometimes C2E2 double books with PAX East.
Yeah.
And PAX East, as we've discussed, is Mike's like favorite ever.
It is. It'll be your favorite when you go. Trust. Oh yeah, that's right. Because this next time PAX East is going to be like a week before or a week after, right?
Right. So again, there's just no way I'm going to be able to do that. So maybe 2024?
Yay.
Yeah, if they're not on the same weekend. I think if they're on the same weekend in 2024, I'm just going to ditch C2E2 for the year and go to PAX East.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, we went into it like already kind of exhausted from summer and all the other stuff that has been going on, Ren fairs and things, and you know, forbade, as Mike said, new costumes. I decided that this was going to be the year, now that I didn't have to wear a mask to a con, that I was going to reprise Mondo Gecko, and he was going to reprise Baxter Stockman, and that had mixed success.
I think it had more success than we thought initially, because people, like, we got some pictures of us floating around in like the C2E2 picture groups and everything, but we were like kind of urban legendy around the con. I found out afterwards people had been talking about us on our work a lot more than I would have expected.
I haven't had... And so here's my thing. We lost our Instagram account the day before C2E2. So the entire day that I was supposed to spend on getting all of my prosthetics, because Mondo Gecko is a full body prosthetic job, the whole thing. I just tried a silicone face prosthetic for the first time, which was kind of terrible. And like all the things kind of just went wrong. And instead of trying to fix all those things and pre-paint and do the things I was supposed to be doing, I was trying to fix our stupid Instagram account.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I had, been told at a jiu-jitsu camp that you need to own your mailing list, like you need to own your contact list. And the problem with Instagram and Facebook and these kinds of things is if you lose the account because you get banned or because something like this happens and you get locked out and there's no calling center you can call to get it fixed, then you're kind of screwed. You just lost all your followers. And that's exactly what happened to us.
And I know everybody listening is like, well, they just send you a code to the email. And, well, yeah, they do normally.
Yes.
But for some reason, it's not sending to our email.
Yeah, it's not coming through the email.
Yeah, I've gone through Reddit and talked to every, social media nerd, and they're just like, well, you just got to wait a little longer.
Yeah. So our old Instagram account, Trashgoblins.inc. No, is it Trashgoblins.inc? Yeah.
Trashgoblins.inc.
At Trashgoblins.inc is no longer in service. It's still there, and we'll keep tagging it so that we get the people maybe coming over to the new one. But the new Instagram, and I'll post it in the notes, is Trashgobs.inc. So it's they'll both pop up if you start searching trash and gobs.
Yeah, and it's the same iconography and everything.
Yeah, and
should be easy to spot.
Updated all of the website and all the other things and show notes, etc. So it should be new everywhere. But so that was what I was doing the entire day. I was supposed to be working on finishing up costume stuff, so I kind of went into it a little bit of a mess. And then at least I was joking with Mike that this is the first year, despite all of that and not having things done, I woke up at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. And did my physical I had actually slept the whole night. I knocked myself out, slept the whole night, drank lots of water when I got up, had some coffee, did my physical therapy, did a workout, ate breakfast, all this stuff. And I was like, I'm actually, this is the first year I wasn't up all night and I'm not still half in the bag with 2 hours of sleep because I was up all night trying to fix things that are unfixable.
Dude, you were so peppy. It was extra funny because I got up, not early, but, you were whizzing around doing your thing. And at one point you walked, you were buzzing back and forth, upstairs, downstairs, doing a bunch of stuff. And you walked past me, and in a Russian accent, at one point you were like, I'm not manic, not even a little bit. I was losing it, man.
Oh, my God. I think from now on we need to do what we do in the shadows on Friday. That's the way to have done that.
Hey, I'm not mad about that at all.
Yeah. But yeah, our lineup, which is also everywhere, was I think Friday we did we reprised the Ninja Turtles bad guys, so we did Mondo Gecko and Baxter Stockman. Saturday we did, what did we do?
We did Baxter Stockman. Next day we did Casey and April.
That's right.
I had Battle Damage Casey and you were Jiu-Jitsu April.
That was the most fun ever. That was the most fun and so appropriate for Saturday. I was so comfortable and I was all over that dance floor. It was great.
Did you put up that picture of us and the foot soldiers on the website yet?
No, I haven't put up any pictures on the website yet. I'm getting to that.
That particular one needs to be our background.
Oh, yeah. That one's so good. It's so good. We found a bunch of guys walking around as iconic 80s, 90s cartoon foot soldiers. They were so good.
They looked really good.
And they had this fake rope that they weren't trying to wrap people up in rope. It was stacked up and open and Velcro behind. It was so smart so that they could look like they were tying people up. And they looked at me as April and they're like, you want to be tied up? I'm like, if you want to tie Casey up, we can talk about it, but no. And the guy just looked at me like, okay. And I'm like, no, what's going to happen here is I'm going to put you in a chokehold. He was he just said, okay. And he went with it and bless those guys. I should have got their information.
Weren't you whispering to him, I'm going to jump on your back?
Yes, I was. I wanted to jump on his back and do a rear naked choke so badly. So badly.
I wish I could have heard that. I wish I was close enough for it.
My cousin Amanda was she's thank God for her, man. She's taking pictures of us and she's just Yeah, I got really good ones of you choking that guy out.
Yeah, that might have been the best cosplay picture I've ever seen of you.
It's my favorite.
Also, like, regular picture, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just like, it's excellent. It was so good. And it was so perfect because, people kept being like, that costume gets such a weird response from people because people generally don't know who it is, of course,
Yeah.
And then, like, people would be like, are you April O'Neil? And I'm like, yeah, but, like, better. And then
Right.
I go on this whole tirade about how I hate April O'Neil. I'm going to save that for, like, a future podcast because will probably... I'm going to end up, if I go to Dragon Con, which is a whole other thing, I'll end up doing that costume again, and I'll do a special. That costume
needs its own podcast.
Right. When we have a gallery for that one, for that costume, we'll do a podcast about that cosplay. Definitely. But yeah, I go on this whole tirade every time somebody asks, like, you hate April O'Neil and you're cosplayed as April O'Neil? I'm like, yeah, because this is like what I want April O'Neil to be.
Right. Yeah.
And so that day was just fun. Super fun, especially because we had my cousins Chris and Amanda, and then Amanda's whole family. Getting there was a fiasco.
Oh yeah,
because I think we our COVID PTSD brains a little bit forgot how bad it could be with parking and stuff when it is an actual full scale con. And so we were getting there later because we were up too late the night before. I don't even know what we were doing, but we were up too late. So my cousin, was that Saturday? No, because Chris wasn't with us on Friday, was he?
He was there, but he had left before, or we got there much later, and he met up with me and Rosie. Well,
yeah, no, Saturday was Chris was taking too long to. I love you, Chris, but my God, it took too long to meet us at our house. And it wasn't so much a big deal for me, apart from the fact that I knew parking was going to be difficult getting there after a certain hour. But Amanda was coming there with her husband, who has never been to one of these things before, and this is not his bag exactly. And then her 5-year-old. So
oh my God,
it was and it was adorable. They were dressed as
please describe
Sonic from the movie. So I made Amanda's Tails costume because she was she knew who everybody else was going to be. She's like, I don't know what to be, and she was looking at pictures. I'm like, why don't you just be a Tails / Miles? I'm like, because it would be adorable and you'd have a cute foxtail. It'd be awesome. And she was totally down. So I made her she had sent me a bunch of pictures and we talked about it. I designed the costume completely and did the whole thing, the tail. I ordered the ears because I got to a point where I was like, there's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel on that. So I just, I couldn't find my old Squirrel Girl ears to pattern them off of. So I was like, I'm just going to save myself some time. And bought the ears, but the rest of the costume I made. And then her son Tyler is 5, and he was Sonic. He was our Sonic, which is perfect because that kid was zooming around all day.
He was Sonic.
He was
not pretending to be Sonic. No, he was Sonic. He was running and doing somersaults and everything. It was dope. To the point that I had to download a soundboard on my phone. So whenever he did a somersault, I made the sound of the rings being blasted out of Sonic. Or I'd play Green Hill Zone when he was running around. Probably nobody could hear it but me, but it was worth it.
It was so good. He was so excited. That kid had the time of his life.
And for 20 minutes.
Amanda's brother, Chris, Amanda had put most of that costume together. She bought the goggles and the jacket. He went as Robotnik from the movie, or what is it? Eggman. I don't know what they're calling it these days. I didn't see the movies.
I think he's Robotnik.
Yeah. I'm sure in the game it was Robotnik. Yeah. But so he went as, the Jim Carrey version from the movie, and I made him the most extreme mustache. And the mustache was the belle of the freaking ball, man. Yep. The belle of the ball.
Everybody was jumping at his nuts trying to get pictures. It was amazing.
We couldn't even get in. Oh, and then her husband Brian went as the trooper, the state trooper that was in the movie. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
So people really thought he was a state trooper. He does kind of have that air to him.
He sure does.
And he got super into it. By the end of the day, he was like, we got to talk to Nicole about group cosplays for next year. Like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, the way we were talking about it and the way he was like grumbling about trying to find parking and all of us were all
I thought
like,
they were going to turn
pissy.
around and leave before we even got in the door.
I thought he was going to be like, this sucks, but by the end of it, he was like, he was talking to me about like Iron Man costumes and like, hey, you think I could pull that off? I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But we didn't even get through, I'm kind of glad we ended up parking where we did, because we came up the bridge and, arriving across the bridge is the freaking best. It's like a bridge that goes over the highway, and it's like all windows, and it's the best lit place for sure to take pictures. So that's where a lot of people end up taking their cosplay pictures and stuff.
Which is, again, where we got stopped because Robotnik and Sonic got tons of pictures, and everybody was like,
we didn't even get halfway down that bridge, and they were doing a professional shoot for somebody or other, and they stopped him, and they grabbed Robotnik and took a bunch of pictures of him, and then they saw Sonic, and so they got, like, Sonic and Robotnik. Then they saw the Trooper and got him in there. Nobody asked Amanda for her to and Amanda's usually our showstopper because she practices her poses. Like we need her because we're bad at that. We like making the costumes. And we'll like get into character, but we're really bad about like posing for pictures and understanding our angles and our poses. And at least I am. So like, she knows. She's like, no, you need from this angle. You need it over here. No, the lighting from this way. This filter.
She's like our set director.
Yeah, for real. And she's adorable. Like she's super hot. So she's usually the one that everybody's stopping for pictures. And this time, like, she was just pushing the stroller. She's like, okay. I think she commented at one point, like, I think I need to come without the boys next time, without the stroller.
Yeah, none of us could compete with Chris's Robotnik. Though.
No, with the mustache.
Yeah, even us in like our regular gear. Like, I get an okay amount of pictures as Casey, but almost nothing because we were hanging out with Chris and they were like, "Oh, Robotnik!"
Oh yeah, it's fine. I was invisible.
The bald head. He had the mustache. It was perfect. But like you were saying though, like that's kind of a goal too. Even if we don't get any pictures taken, if we can make somebody else look awesome and they get all the pictures, that's just as good.
Oh yeah, that was the most. That was one of the funnest days I've had at C2E2 in a long time. Mm-hmm. And we did the dance party that night, and I feel like it went later than it normally does, but maybe I just blanked it out.
I don't know. That was the night I had the really bad headache, and I had to like disappear around a corner.
Yeah, last year I feel like I don't even know. I didn't dance at all last year. This year I was a bunny on the dance floor. I was jumping up and down. I was doing forward rolls across the dance floor.
Yeah, that's
challenging people, and then like I made this dude put me up on his shoulders for a minute just because there was some crazy dance battle happening and I couldn't see because I'm short, and so I was like, "Hey, you big guy, put me on your shoulders," and he did.
And he was like, "Okay."
It was great. Yeah. So Saturday, great success. We did. We hung out with our Trashgoblins, our new Trashgoblins, looking for party flag. That was incredible. I think I need to incorporate that more into our website because it's so good.
Yeah, I'll have to take better pictures of it. It was really fun to make too. Oh, that was what happened. That's why I was up really late. Is because the day after we were like, when did you have time to do this?
Oh yeah.
We were discussing, what our goals were for Trashgoblins, and I talked about wanting to have a banner for us to show off, whenever we went to a con, and I mentioned it the night before, and you got so excited. You were like, "Oh man, that's got to be the number one thing on our list." And I was like, "You know what? You're right." And I stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning making it from scratch.
See, now I keep going back and forth about Dragon Con, and it is last minute. It's gonna sell out in a second. It's like 2 weeks away. Mm-hmm. I'm still like, I don't know if I'm going, but if I go, I'm packing that thing and I'm bringing it with me.
Yeah.
Especially because I think I'm going solo. So if you're listening to this, you're going to Dragon Con, please contact us. I need friends.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so Saturday was super fun. We got to do it wasn't called WGF Japan this time, but it was the same.
Yeah, it was WTF.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And I'll never forget it because there were so many wrestling fans at this C2E2 because there was tons of wrestlers getting autographs and stuff. And the guy leading it was dressed as 90s Shawn Michaels with like the goofy mirror and red leather thing.
Yeah.
That's etched into my freaking brain now. That was a great panel, but they did a lot of repeats from last time.
They did.
But we got to see Bad Bud again, so I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. Then Sunday was kind of a, like, everybody did their own thing. Everybody did their shopping as, per usual.
Yeah.
And then all ended up, like, it was funny because, like, everybody ended up reconvening in the yard. And, like, Sunday, my cousin Amanda wasn't there, but my cousin Chris was there. We ended up meeting up with our number one fan / con bestie,
Yes.
Michael,
who is now part of us.
Yeah.
One of us!
I don't know what we're calling him, but he's like, we're going to give him some kind of official title for Trashgoblins.
He's going to have to decide his own title, I think. Proud nerd for sure.
Yeah. So he got to come hang. He came to the house with us Sunday afterwards, too, so he got to actually see Trashgoblins HQ. And then we met up with Dee, who is always, like, she's been meeting up with us there haphazardly for, like, this, as long as we've been going, as long as I've been going. And, like, this is, I think, the first year, last year too. Last year she was doing the Rainbow Bright and all that.
Yeah.
So this is the second year she's been, like, one of us at the con. But this is the first year I've actually run into her more than once at the con.
Yeah, she ends up being, like, squirreled away in a corner somewhere. We'll see her once and then... Well, so that was another weird thing about this year. This is the first year it felt like actual C2E2 again. Not first year, first time.
Yeah.
Since COVID. So it felt proper. It felt like, everything it was pre-COVID. The crowd on Saturday was big, but not overwhelming.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, I saw very few of my regular con people, like, out on the floor.
Same.
My con buddies that I normally see every year were just off doing their own thing. Like, we had Michael, we had Dee, and we had, like, our own group. But the people that usually intersect with us, for some reason, we didn't end up seeing. So we were just kind of making new buddies the whole day.
Yeah, it was definitely a different, like, amalgamation of people this year than it has been in the past. I think that's kind of just be a reoccurring thing, is, like, the people that end up, circulating with us, we don't, like, we may or may not always see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was still good. And, like, Dee I hung out with a lot this year, which was awesome. I need to get her on here. And her friend, I forget her name, but she competed as Glenda. No, it wasn't Glenda. It was
Fairy Godmother.
Fairy Godmother. That's right. But she usually does a Glenda cosplay. She competed and they finally, like, Sunday, as we were hanging out in the yard, we all managed to find each other in the yard, because, like, what else do you do after you're done shopping? You're tired, and you're just like, we have 1 hour left of this con, let's go drink a beer in the yard and be sad that it's almost over. So that's become a new yearly thing. Rebecca came and met up with us. That was great.
Yeah.
One of our friends she was actually one of the inspirations for starting a lot of this on my behalf. She was just kind of like this mentee at work at my office job when I was living in Chicago. And, she was trying to get out of her out of her safe zone and try new things. So we started an adventure club, and we started in a D&D club. So she started bringing her and some other of my friends into role playing, and we started doing, like, going downtown and going ice skating, or going roller skating at a roller rink, or we took, like, a road trip out to House on the Rock, and just, like, finding cool things to do. Or, like, at that point we were doing a lot of the guerrilla gaming, so we were meeting up in public, cool spots and playing board games. So it's cool to connect with her and kind of, like, just be like, man, we got on this journey a long time ago, and now we're actually picking it up and doing the thing.
Yeah. Secret Adventure Club was one of the most fun times I had with our crew.
We're gonna bring that back.
Yeah, we have to. I guess we kind of do already with C2E2. It's just that, we got to add more events.
Yes. Yeah, with that'll be, stay tuned. Gobbies and Goblets, where we'll have more of that information.
Goblets! Oh, yeah, I did say when Yuckmouth is finished, I'm going to start referring to everybody as dumpster bees. I think that fits the form really well.
That's funny.
Hello, my little dumpster bee.
Oh, yes. But yeah, Sunday we did What We Do in the Shadows, cosplay wise. And, that's always fun. I think it was like this year I couldn't get makeup to work. I was so tired and I was just so bummed, I think, because of the Instagram thing that I was just
Yeah,
like, whatever.
that was a real kick to the nuts this year.
Yeah, it was very demoralizing, and I was very proud of myself for getting through the weekend as upbeat as I did. Sandman helped a lot, and
Yeah.
we're going to have an episode on that, like, immediately after this. So if that's your jam, man, do we have things to say about that. But yeah, so I think that put some wind back in my sails. But honestly, I think the savior of the weekend was, for me, Sandman, just having that to come home to. So when I'm taking off hours of makeup, it's like, oh, this is great. This doesn't suck at all.
Yep. Which was so surprising.
Chris's mustache stealing the show from Amanda and everybody else.
Yep.
And that the Trashgoblins looking for group flag. That thing, I woke up on Saturday just so over everything and saw that and was like, oh my God, he's done it.
I had it just set up in the dining room so when you woke up you would run into it.
Oh, so good. I can't wait to post the photos. What were your top things?
So I was complaining for a while about how C2E2 show floor had less and less things, but this time they actually had a lot of the cool stuff I wanted to see.
Yeah.
They had a lot of really cool prototype toys, and I saw what companies were planning on doing. They had their not the Funko Pop, what do you call it? What's the little unicorn, the Chicago unicorn I got you,
Olivia?
I don't remember. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? But anyway, they had a lot of showcase stuff, and yes. I always love looking at crap in, clear acrylic cases and seeing all the cool toys or models or whatever's coming out in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they had more actual interactive show floor. They had a lot more arcade stuff this year, this time. I keep saying year. I guess technically it is. But yeah, all of that stuff is a huge draw to me. The fact that there's more things to do out on the con floor and not just the panels is massively important to me.
Yeah.
And then having Michael show up, and like we'd been broing out with Michael for 6 years, something like that, and finally having him, be part of our crew, and it should have happened earlier, but I don't think any of us were quite ready for it. But it just felt right for him to be enfolded in, and everybody, it was just such good feels when he came over and hung out with us. So that was a huge highlight.
Absolutely. I was super stoked that he came, and super stoked that all of that went down the way that it did, and it made up for the suckage of the Instagram stuff, and then the sort of fallout from that with some of the costume things for me.
Yeah.
The other thing that I guess D and some other people had sort of spilled the tea on was that we never make it to the championship, the cosplay championships or any of that. But apparently this year it was for any of you who are, competition cosplayers that may be listening to this. I don't know why you're listening to this.
Wrong group, y'all.
Yeah. But I worked the She Prop booth on Friday, and then I was supposed to work it again on Sunday, but we didn't make it in time, and there were actually a lot of people there when I got there, so it was I don't think it was that big of a deal. I felt bad about it though. But a lot of the people that were at that booth, that were working that booth, are they compete, and they looked very disgruntled on Sunday, and I did not understand at the time what was going on. I was just like, do y'all need anything, or can I? And there's kind of side conversations happening that I was not apprised of, and I think it's because it's assumed maybe people thought I knew what had happened and I didn't. But I guess usually for the cosplay championships there are categories, and there were supposed to be categories. So if you're really good at this, then you have a chance of at least winning your category, if not the overall championship. And I guess whoever was supposed to be judging and dealing with it backed out at the last minute. And so a new group was organizing and dealing with it. And they took out the categories, and these people were standing in these insane costumes with their handlers, which I didn't know was a thing, but my God, do we need one? standing with their handlers for hours and hours and hours in their costumes, waiting to be judged and waiting to hear back about how they did and their placement and stuff. And then, like, if they weren't in the finals, they were just like, they just stood around for hours to be told, okay, you don't need to stay here anymore. Bye. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't get to do a walk up. Like, I don't know the extent to which it's different from years before, but whoops. My understanding is there's usually, like, you at least do like a walk up on the stage or some other thing where they do, but there was just nothing. They just stood around for hours, and they were very sore and tired and unhappy.
Right.
It's like,
Well, when did they stop doing the international championships? Because I was told that this year it was not international anymore. It was only within like the continental.
right, and I think that is still because of COVID, and I believe it should be coming back. I want to say like it was supposed to maybe come back next year, but after this year, I don't know what that was. I feel like from my impression of what happened with them and how upset people were, especially about the categories thing, because
Yeah.
like me and like we've tried, like
Yeah.
in past lives we tried to compete in various costume competitions, and you realize that like there's a certain degree of people that like don't buy their own or make their own stuff. A lot of it's bought, and I heard that each competition, apparently these big ones, there's like a percentage of things you had to have made yourself. You can't just like buy everything and get up on stage. I didn't know that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so they had to have made certain amount of things themselves, and obviously the more work, the more percentage of their costumes they've done themselves, that gets taken into account with the judging. Um, so that is disclosed, which is interesting, and I did not know that. Uh, but also, like the kinds of costumes that usually win. It's and I heard, I was talking to some of the sheep prop ladies. They were like, yeah, it's kind of like really elaborate ball gown with some armor, and that's it's like
Yeah.
tends to be the kinds of things that end up winning, and
Yeah.
and so it's like if that's not your thing, like maybe you're not a seamstress, but like maybe like, again, I like effects makeup. I like anything where I can make it look like a movie,
Yeah.
and not necessarily, it's a very different look than a cosplay.
I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, besides for the fact that I'm just not competitive, I
Right.
think one of the reasons why I never gravitated towards the cosplay competitions is because I don't understand what they're looking for. Everything that I think is awesome,
Yeah.
the judges find something completely different than I give a crap about, to be honest.
I think that like it tends to privilege a more polished look, and again, like I think especially with the laser cutter and all that stuff and making patterns, like we could do that if there was a cosplay that it would be worth it to me to do that for, but I don't wanna, and I
Yeah.
certainly don't want to wear it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like when Brian was going on about Iron Man, I'm like, yeah, please give me a reason to make something like that, because I won't for myself.
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
wear it, and I don't want to make it.
Exactly right. I'm in love with like the cyberpunk and the mecha looking aspect of things, but in general, that's not what I like. I like
Right.
the battle damagey, pagan looking druid crap is my jam more
Yeah.
than anything.
Definitely.
But in terms of like a finished, clean looking finished product,
Yeah.
this is
What it did though, actually working the Sheeprop booth was super cool. I mean, it was really cool to like be able to get people to sign up. Sheeprop, for those of you who don't know, is women owned, and it tends to, it's the goal of Sheeprop is to, highlight women cosplayers, and specifically women makers, or anybody, it could be woman, it could be trans, it can be a lot of other things, LGBTQ, a lot of various things, but it's trying to highlight people that they feel don't get as much attention or credit for that, equal work, and trying to highlight and really be supportive of more or less women creators and makers, as they say. And so, but it's nice because the group is so huge. It's like thousands of people. And so even if you're in any of the forums, or you're in their Discord, or you're in their Facebook, and you have a problem, any problem, and in all levels, really, of costuming, seamstressing, all of the things, And you get in there and you're like, man, I could sit here for 2 hours trying to source the answer to this problem on Google with all of the garbage it's going to give me. Or I could just ask this group and somebody's going to be like, no, no, no. And you get like 5 different answers and all of them are correct.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah.
And I signed up for it only like a week before C2E2. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I should see if they need volunteers for some of these other cons. Because it is kind of a nice way to get to meet people that I wouldn't have before.
Absolutely.
But the other cool thing was like just to get to talk to them about the competition in cosplay, why they do it, the kinds of things that they're interested in. I'd love to interview some of them at some point in the future, just to kind of have that voice as well, just because it's not, again, that's like not really our thing, but that doesn't mean it's not like what somebody else is looking for. But it's funny because like despite the fact that I was talking to this woman and she was explaining that, she was actually one of the judges and she had been competing for years. She had won a bunch of times. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And I found myself saying the kinds of things that we've said in here, which is like, oh, I don't, that's not really what I'm interested in, or that's not really what I do. And then I was like, and I was about to be like, I'm not really competitive. And I'm like, bitch, you compete in jiu-jitsu,
I was
bitch.
gonna say,
What
you
are
are competitive.
Oh, I mean, well, the thing is I am competitive and that's why I don't compete, because it takes over my life.
Yeah.
And therefore I don't do that. But I do that. Like jiu-jitsu's been kind of my segue back into competition and trying to be healthy about it and not be like a monster about it. And to just kind of set my own win conditions and to do it just to see where I'm at or to give myself a goal. And I've been successful with that with jiu-jitsu. I've been very successful with that with jiu-jitsu. Not that I compete successfully, mind you. It's that I set my own win conditions. I do it for my own reasons. And then I just try to like hit my own mark and do it that way. And I'm like, why wouldn't I do a competition, like a cosplay competition for that reason, for this in the same way? And right now I'm definitely not in any, no way, like not right at this moment anyway, but I definitely could see maybe year after next, getting to a goal and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And then trying to do it. Like if we end up doing those, if we end up doing the gargoyle ones at some point, I would enter a competition. We won't place, but I don't care.
Well, yeah. Well, don't even say that if you're going to even get it. I don't know. It's the first time I heard you talk about actually doing a competition thing, and you definitely had the fire lit under you. So I think the gargoyles one would be a great one to actually showcase.
Sorry, we got cut off there for a second, but we were talking about gargoyles, and that's spoilers. That was supposed to be a goal for next year, but as C2E2 is now less than like 6 months away, we're gonna postpone that plan and try to do it for 2024.
That's one that I think I'm gonna work on for like. That's gonna be a big one that we work on for like a year.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, and I'm gonna like have to recruit somebody to help with the body painting, because it appears that is a bigger job than I am capable of doing on one person in a day. Might be able to get around some of that with some tights or something, but
yeah. I mean, can you imagine doing it on me? There's so much more surface area here. You're like a quarter of my size.
Well, you had at some point talked about doing the Goliath chest out of foam or something like that.
Yeah. Whatever I do for if I do Goliath, which I'm still assuming.
That's fair.
If I'm still assuming that I will, but there's other options now.
That's true. Yeah. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Right.
But I think that pretty much wraps up C2E2. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up or talk about, or?
No, yeah, I was just really happy with this last C2E2. It started to feel like the old C2E2 we know and love.
we were going to do here's what to do and see at C2E2 thing beforehand for anybody that hasn't been there before. But obviously with the Instagram thing, I was like, kick rocks all of the technology. So
Right.
we didn't do that, but we will try to do it next time. But if you're listening and you have questions about C2E2 or you're like, oh, should we go to this con? Should we not? I think we've made it pretty clear that we're going to tell you should definitely go to that one. But if there's anything specific you want to ask about it, send us some comments, send us some questions. This podcast is now freaking everywhere because I figured out how to do it a not stupid way. So, so hopefully this gets out, more people can listen and more people can chime in. We can answer people's questions.
Yeah.
And start dealing with more questions from people listening.
Yeah, and we're just, we're still learning how to do all this stuff. So, don't have any issues with checking in or bugging us about anything, including just wanting to like nerd out online or in person or whatever. So feel free to reach out whenever you want, and just be nerds with us.
Yeah, and lessons learned from our Instagram fiasco, please find us on our website, trashgoblinsinc.com, and subscribe, because otherwise we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram may be like, we don't like you, kick rocks, and they'll be like, oh, there goes all our followers. We don't know who they are now. So don't do that, please. Please subscribe. We're not asking for money. It's not even about that. It's just like we want to be able to reach people and give you guys news and tell you what's going on.
Yep. Just nerd out with us. That's really all we want.
Faux show.
All right.
Okay, bye. Hey guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. As mentioned, we did lose our old IG account, which was trashgoblins.inc. So you can find us now on Instagram at trashgobs.inc. All of our information should be on our website, which is trashgoblinsinc.com. We'll post all the things in the show notes. As mentioned, you don't want this to happen to you, and we don't want it to happen again. So please, if you visit our site, subscribe. We'd like to keep in touch, keep you updated. We got some pretty fun stuff planned for y'all, with some gamified stuff. If you run into us and get a coin from us, there's some stuff you can do with that. We're going to open a store. It's going to be good. So, subscribe, please subscribe, and hope we will see y'all soon. If you're going to Dragon Con, make sure to hit us up, hit me up. I could definitely use some more support, but if you don't and you're gonna go, look out for our Trash Goblins looking for party flag. I may just be hanging out somewhere with it. Additionally, later this week, I'll be posting another episode on Sandman because me and Mike are both huge fans. I do a Morpheus cosplay. It's awesome. Not the cosplay, just all in general, the content around Sandman. And also look out later this week for an update to our website galleries, where we will be posting our C2E2 pictures. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks, gobbies and goblets. See you soon. This has been a Yuck Mouth Media production.